Did you know that video games are actually good for you? In this video, we'll be discussing how attention can be improved by playing video games. Video gaming can help one to multitask efficiently, but how else could video games have any cognitive benefits on attention?
A few stereotypes that come to mind when you think of video gamers involve having a poor diet, lazy, or characterized as a male.
According to William James, who was one of the leading psychologists in North America, he defined attention as when the brain focuses on an action or trains of thought, which then close your concentration towards it.
Did you know that goldfish can hold their attention longer than humans? Did that just blow your mind?
Diving straight into the experiments, researchers considered action video game players on average to play 3 hours per week, and non-video game players play 1 hour or less weekly.
Participants were required to make an eye movement from a fixation point to one target circle among the 6 other circles. Target circle contains color that is different among the other color, and we're not told that a distractor would appear. 7 circles instead of 6.
The result shows that action video games players have better accuracy and faster response time on locating the target circle in both when distraction is present or absent than non-video game players.
Therefore, action video game players possess greater or more efficient control than do non-video game players. As a gamer myself, I would encourage everyone to play video games to boost your control and your attention.
But do different type of games affect cognitive abilities? They certainly do. As you guys probably know, the 2 most common genre of games are real-time strategy and first-person shooter, which require players to control units and building within the environment and playing in first-person point of view while defeating the opponent respectively.
Researchers found that real-time strategy players have better performances on task switching and multiple object tracking when compared to the first-person shooter players and non-video game players.
In the research experiments of task switching, participants were required to respond to either large or small figures, depending on what is presented.
Another experiment, the multiple object tracking. Participants were presented with 16 circles, with 1 to 7 being labeled as targets. Subjects were required to answer if there's a highlighted circle in the target.
To no surprise, the participants who played real-time strategy games have faster response time and are less affected by switching tasks compared to first-person shooter and non-video game players. On the other hand, real-time strategy players have better accuracy in multiple object tracking than first-person shooter and non-video game players.
In the last but not least experiment, researchers conducted a longitudinal study where participants were more likely female non-gamers, playing less than 1 hour of video games per week over the past 2 years.
In the research experiment of attentional blink, participants viewed rapid sequence of letter, and participants were told to report 2 things. 1. The identity of the white letter, which is the first target, and 2. Whether X was present after the white letter is presented, which is the second target.
The results show that participants often fail to notice the second target when it appears 3 times after the first target, but show improvement as time between the first and the second target increases.
To sum up all the studies, video game does not only enhance attentional control, but also provide cognitive benefits.
Despite the fact that video game players are described as lazy and unmotivated. On the positive side, they actually have better cognitive abilities, especially on attention, than non-video game players do.
An interesting idea that we found as a group was that even though many video games genres share the same basic game mechanism, real-time strategy players have an advantage over first-person shooter players on being able to ignore distraction, and therefore they have better attentional control.
Furthermore, action video game players outperform non-video game players in both selection-based and response-based processes. Therefore, action video games are strongly encouraged for people who have a deficit on holding their attention in long-term and short-term tasks.
Creative. it using Powtoon.